Hi, Federica.
Hi Paul, how are you?
Yeah, very, very good. We've seen different views of people's houses doing all these Zoom talks, aren't we?
Yeah, we are in my bedroom now, so this is the only place in my house, what with three kids, that I can kind of fit in a desk for all the different technological equipment that I've got for the different roles I do. So yeah, you're welcome to my bedroom.
Yeah, I've had to tell the kids stay upstairs. Here's the Netflix password. Here's this.
Yeah,
Chuck some food at them. It's the best
yeah,
way. I find.
food and TV. Yeah, that hopefully will keep them entertained.
Yeah. So have you been during this time? I mean, I was just looking up that it's exactly a year today since the roll started and the change from the Liberal Democrats, to
Mm.
council, and it's a year today. So how's that year been?
Wow, what a year. What an incredible year. Just for hopefully the residents feel that they've seen a difference. I truly think that we've had a phenomenal first year. For me personally, obviously I've grown in that time with all the different things that have presented itself to me, juggling work-life balance alongside my other role that I do. But as leader of the council, we've done so many good things in the past year. There's certainly been challenging, what with the transformation that had been sanctioned under the previous administration and picking up the pieces there, but starting to really kickstart some projects within the district, and now going into what is the most unprecedented crisis,
Yeah.
well, in most people's lifetimes, I would say, apart from the wars. It's hard work in this crisis for all of us, um, and for you and me with children, juggling that, working from home, and
Yeah.
just making life seem normal for children, but also protecting vulnerable and residents with my council hat on, and businesses. It's definitely hard work, but hopefully I'm making a difference.
Yeah, and it's been great to see. Well, I guess the communities, the stuff that's been online, and people just
Mm.
helping out. Some of the stories that have been shared has been fantastic, hasn't it?
It has. The community has really blown me away in how it's pulled together, and how people are taking care of their neighbours, taking care of just people in their streets or in the wider area. I help admin the main group for Taunton alongside Natalie, who you've interviewed previously. I also run two of the groups alongside colleagues over in the east of Taunton, and support Holcombe area, which is where my ward is. And it has been phenomenal to see how people are happy to go out and help people on and go to the shops. But also it's highlighted the vast differences of people's daily lives, and the challenges that they face. So there are people who truly are struggling on the breadline,
Mm.
and who the community are rallying around, but there is a question as to what we need to do to help them moving forward.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's a very strange time, isn't it, for lots of people, which I'm sure we'll remember for years. But hopefully, the long term will be the community working together, which is say it's been fantastic to see. I just wondered what was your sort of thoughts on the government's response to coronavirus and how they've handled it. Just want to thought what you thought on that.
My own view, and very much personal, is that I feel that they didn't act quick enough. I think for us in Somerset, the lockdown happened at the right time, and the fact that you can see that we aren't experiencing the hotspots that, for example, London is suffering from. But for me, there are questions that need to be raised as to why we didn't take decisions earlier, having watched what happened around Europe and the rest of the globe, and the fact that we have struggled with regards to PPE and getting that in. And in particular, we're seeing some the care homes are suffering because of that, and our key workers, because it is all about making sure that we keep people safe. And I do think questions need to be raised. The government response financially for businesses has been good. It could be better because there are lots of people that are missing out. But that has been welcome, and I'm sure for businesses it's been very welcome. But there are still questions to be raised, and I don't think there's anything wrong with challenging it. We can still all be in it together. We can all be supporting each other, but we should still be critical and question decisions that have been made or decisions that are currently being made, because that means we're holding them to account, and that's regardless of whichever political party you're from.
Yeah, and I guess also then shaking up the system a little bit, that this is a time to take stock of stuff. What can we change that will work better?
Oh gosh, yeah, definitely. You know, we're all now working from home. Us as a council have been working from home for, I think, 6 weeks. It all seems to blur
Yeah,
into one as to how long people have been at home for. But we now need to think about what has worked well. Is it that we can carry that forward moving forward? We did our first virtual council meeting this week. That went well. I don't think I'd want that continually moving forward, but there is a question as to how we can adapt and how people can interact with different organisations, but making sure that the most vulnerable and those who don't have digital access and can still play a part. So I think for all of us, we're all going to look at how our lives are going to change. I think climate will be a big thing as
yeah,
well, and that I want that to be paramount in any recovery plan that we do going forward. Is, you know, we've all kind of changed our habits a little bit, and can we make that even better?
yeah. And I've been talking to a few people that have homework for years. Some people that are thinking, maybe there's a chance to change things a little bit. And I think that you mentioned the carbon footprint thing, you know, of not having to go to meetings. Is there time to use technology a bit more efficiently?
Mhm.
I meet clients, if they come down from Bristol, then they come to Taunton, you know, that's an hour out of their day to come down, then an hour meeting, an hour back, that's 3 hours out of their day. Whereas we could easily just do something like this that helps, you know, with the carbon footprint and things like that. Going with that in mind, I'm just thinking, I have an office in town. I've worked from home before, and the reason I can't is I don't have any space here, so that's why I've had to get everybody out of here. I just wonder, in terms of our high streets have already been suffering with empty shops, and I'm thinking, you know, if we've already struggled with that, and then we've then got to recover out of this, which is obviously going to be a financial crisis, as well as the government, you know, sorry, as the country and the economy gets back to where it was. How do you see the high street recovering from this?
I think from the high street perspective, and that's been something that's been declining for some years, hasn't it, in how we interact. I think it will be more about experience, and it will be more about, I think, individuality as well. So more about having a nighttime economy as well in the district, so that people can go out in the evenings and do stuff. I think there'll be a change as to what we want to do. I don't think that's going to happen overnight. I think whenever lockdown is lifted, I don't think we're all either going to go rushing out either to do those social things. That's only my personal opinion, because I think we'll still all be a little bit wary. But I think from a high street perspective, we'll see a change in probably what's there. So that maybe, you know, more cafes, and I know that's not up for everyone, but I think people have learned to necessarily shop differently, but maybe more independent shops where
Hmm.
you can, you know, I've done my shopping recently from Granny Smith, so I can just email that in. I then go and collect it, so I'm still supporting the local economy. I've done 2 deliveries from local garden centres, so that I can at least try and find some me time over this period. So I think we'll find a different way, and I think it'll be about shopping local, shopping sustainable, thinking about where our goods and products come from. Does it come with air miles? Is it
Yeah.
fair trade? Is it all those kind of questions, so that you can fit into the climate agenda as well as supporting local good business.
No, I think that's some good points. And what's been nice to see is those businesses that have had to pivot and think,
Yeah.
okay, let's take stock of this. What can we do that keeps us going? And actually, much some of the smaller businesses become, you know, they've become more prominent or well known because people are using them more, and we hope that they continue to do so, which I'm sure they will. And thinking back to sort of the shop in local, I mean, in Taunton's, you know, very very different to other parts of, you know, of that's within the council's area, which we've got the high street, we've got lots of great independent shops with independent quarter, then we've got East Reach, and then we've got Bath Place, and that's the kind of the brand of Taunton, I think, that we need to build on. There's an opportunity for these small independent shops that don't offer things that you can't buy online.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that experience. Whereas you look at somewhere like maybe Minehead, that's very much about the tourism with Butlins, and Butlins is going to be closed for probably at least at the end of the year. That's a huge impact on the town, of having to go back to supporting local shops, and maybe you can't get in your car and drive up to Taunton and do a big shop or whatever, or it's using what's there and working with with the local businesses, and I think that community is important.
And definitely, and I've seen that. So, I'm a avid social media user, and seeing how some of those businesses across the district have pivoted. So there's organisations in my head, as an example, who are offering afternoon teas that you can deliver, and think about different ways of working, and seeing local shops kind of wanting to go out and do delivery, and farm shops in our more rural areas, supporting local people. I got my potatoes from a local farm up on Killams, as an example, which previously I would have gone and got it just in my supermarket shop. So I think all of us have to question how we're going to do that, but also understanding that isn't available to everyone. I'm very lucky that I can afford to make those choices, but for some that isn't the case either.
No, that's good. And I think alongside that, with these premises, there's that relationship, I guess, between the landlord and the tenants of these businesses, these shops or offices, etc. And I know that, say I'm originally from West Somerset, so I was speaking to somebody there, and some of the landlords, they've got their grant for the business, and some people are really struggling with no support that's being fed through to the business. You've got to carry on paying your rent, for instance, through all of this. And I wondered how the kind of council's helping sort of smaller businesses to stay viable that aren't legible for the funding or the support that's been offered from government.
So from the council perspective, we've done those grants. So the government gave us just over £40 million, and we paid out around 30 million of that so far. I think the government is currently reflecting on what else it can do for business within those grants where people haven't come forward, and is there any elements of businesses that weren't eligible that perhaps it can help, and we're waiting for central government to advise us of that. From our perspective, from the economic development side of things, we are wanting to support businesses. We've got our whole web page of different options that we can do, whether we can look to do any webinars or things to support people that way. That would be something that I would be keen for us to take forward, and that engagement through the chambers of commerce in all of our towns. I think it's hard for us at the moment as a council, in the fact that I would love to be able to do more support locally out of our own budgets, but our own budgets in themselves are very, very stretched with our income that we're currently not receiving, and we're currently looking at what our midterm projection is going to be adaid that, as are rest of the councils around the country. But on both of those aspects, both local government finance and on businesses, I've been feeding into central government through the different ways that I can do it, to say, and through our MPs, saying, look, we're struggling as a council, think about us, but also think about businesses and those that you're missing out on. So we did take that small step for Minehead, and as an example, to push along for the boats in Minehead, to give them a little bit of support, because they fell through all the cracks.
I was going to mention that, because that was good to see, being a Minehead boy. Looking after that, and so there's lobbying going on to feed that back to central government. I guess from my point of view, it's, as a small business owner and a director of a limited company, I've found it very. I'm in one of the 5% that doesn't get any support.
I know.
There's lots of people that I've spoken to, and I just think I found it to I guess, to feed this back, which I'm sure you've heard from lots of people already, is I wasn't not eligible for a grant. I could furlough myself, but because I get most of my income in dividend, and I'd probably only get about £500 a month doing that, and plus I wouldn't be able to do the work we're doing. I mean, at the moment, our magazine is on hold because people aren't going to want to spend advertising at the moment. We know that they will want to go out there and start to promote their business again. But we're in this, from our point of view, from where we've been, we're owed quite a bit of money. We're waiting on some of the people that owe us money to get their grants, etc., which we appreciate takes time. And I think we've had to be quite sensitive to say, we're not going to give us your money. We're asking people, what's your situation? and then can we work together? But I found it very frustrating that obviously I rent from a tenant where our offices are, and obviously they're eligible for a grant, and they have been very supportive. They've said to us, you know, if you're really struggling, then come back and we can work something out. But I'm just sort of from a point of view of when I used to have an office in town in the Crescent, I didn't pay any business rates then because we were at small business rates relief. So I paid zero, but I would have got the grant.
You would have got the grant, yeah.
Um,
And I truly feel for you, Paul, because you know the for yourself, I can only imagine the stresses that it's been putting through for you and your business. I think government designed the scheme very quickly, and I'm not going to defend them because we're just administering it. I think there were lots of I had a whole list of different organisations that kind of fell through the gaps, which is what has helped feed into local government to maybe look at this scheme, that we've got that money not left over in but is yet to be claimed, and is there a way that they can extend and open that up? So we're waiting to hear from that hopefully in the next week or so, so that maybe that could be that you could be eligible at that point. But again, it is hard, and it must be so hard for you because government didn't think of all different options, but yet you're doing a really amazing thing and didn't want to furlough yourself because you're going out and keeping, you know, the message alive and keeping people up to date.
I think for me, I mean, obviously they've now introduced the loans for the business, which are interest free for a year, which is an option, you know, and that would, you know, that was good to see. But obviously a loan's still got to be paid back as opposed to a grant. And I just think I've been quite frustrated that there are those that which we know that abuse the system, that do a lot of cash in hand, that don't declare their income for certain things, and I think from feeding that back to government as a you know, I don't pay any business rates now. I didn't 2 years ago, but if I had a piece of paper with a number on, then here's 10 grand.
You would have got it. Yeah, no, and it's sad that that's how it has worked out for you. I think that, as I said, it was a very quickly designed scheme to try and be done as simple as possible, despite it, you know, hopefully we've done quite well at being quick at handing it out. We're definitely above some of the other councils in the country. We're actually well above the councils because I think we've paid out 70%
Yeah.
But you know, I appreciate that it doesn't help everybody.
Yeah.
And hopefully government will come forward with something. Fingers crossed. I hope that they do. But who knows?
Yeah, well, that's 70% is good. And how's that process been in terms of people getting in touch and?
Yeah, no, it's been quite good. We would love more people to come forward. We obviously have done a huge campaign to make get in contact with people, to try and encourage people to claim. We had a huge spike obviously in the first probably week, where we dealt with hundreds of applications every day. I'm indebted to our staff for the officers for actually turning it around. We didn't have the system built, we didn't have the process built, and we've had to verify bank details, all new things. We've had to put loads of staff from other departments into it, because for me it was really important that we process that really quickly, because I can appreciate for those businesses that were eligible that they needed it to keep going, and we'd like others to come forward. So it's been a real positive step, and again, it's another way of how we've shown, because of the crisis, we've been able to move quicker than if, you know, previously it may have taken us several months to kind of get all that sorted.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear, and say it's I mean, it's a nightmare situation all round, really, especially in the first year of subs changing over. But there have been the last year there was lots of positive things. You know, I just think the ice rink and various, you know, good things that happen with Taunton.
The coal orchards kind of coming up above the hoardings now. We've got a fire pool starting.
Yes.
Seaward Way in Minehead, we fixed the hole in Watch It, and on Monday we allocated and sorted out the funding for that. We're going to do the repairs of the other wall in Watch It. We've made plans for social housing and starting to get the ground going there to build more council houses. And so for me, we're trying to truly think of everything, but under the guise of the fact that we were obviously curtailed at the beginning with transformation not going very well, and having to pay out lots of money above budget that was left under the previous administration. But for me, it's been a real positive as to what we can do. And for me, it's about getting out there and saying what your council can do for you.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think one of the things I've really liked is that when it changed over was promises to be much more open and transparent, which you've shown today by, you know, saying you'd come on here, and it's
Yep.
you know, and it's nice to show that you're a normal person just like the rest of us, that, you know, say he's got kids, got demands and of the job and things like that. So it's been really good, and so I hope if there's any more updates soon for businesses like myself that say are in a similar situation. But it has been great to see the community what they've done. You know, I can imagine Natalie and the groups with, you know, the founders of the coronavirus. I can imagine her phones just constantly lighting up, just notification after notification of doing things.
Yeah, it is constant notifications that we get from people wanting to approve the posts going into that group. But just the heartwarming stories. I obviously see lots of more harrowing stories, and of people where perhaps not us, but, you know, they're on the breadline, or that they're needing additional support, or they've fallen through the cracks, and I'm there quick to hopefully pick them up and get that sorted for them. But in general, the positivity from all of this, whether it's the claps on Thursday that I partake in and I show my kids to take part, because I think we need to thank all the key workers, and it's not just the NHS, it's about those people all the people who are going to work and doing phenomenal jobs, our supermarkets, our dustbin men, my officers, everyone that's kind of keeping the cogs turning of essential services. It is incredible. But the positivity on all these Facebook groups, there's a brilliant one in Minehead that I am on in Facebook as well. You know, there were some heartwarming stories of people going out and above their way to help others, whether that's walk their dogs or find some special type of food because they've got a special dietary requirement, or, you know, just nice things. And that's what community should be about.
Yeah, well, I think it has been great to see that, and I think it's holding on to those positives. It's been nice to see much more positive things put online, which is we only deal with positive stuff in our magazine and online, because there's a lot of doom and gloom, and it's been a horrendous time, and obviously lots of loved ones have been lost during this. But it's looking back with how people have stepped up and helped each other, which has been great. So yeah, well, it's been lovely to chat today. Thank you for your time.
Anytime.
And yeah, and obviously if anyone wants to speak about the grants that are available and the options, we can put a link to the website, the council website, to see what options are.
Just put a link to our website, or also I'm happy for if people are having trouble and they've waited a little while from a response to us. I regularly get personal emails directly to me, or Facebook even. And I can take a look at it, because I can only you know, I want to make life easy for people, and especially when it's all to do with finances. I can only imagine the stresses and strains that people go through, so anything that can move it along quicker, we certainly do try to make happen.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's nice to see you, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the weekend. The sun's back out at the moment, so I wish everyone well, and keep safe at the council. So thanks a lot.
Same to you.
Okay.
You take care.
Bye now. Bye.